Hey everybody, I've been tagged a bunch in this video and I finally have an opportunity to get to it.
Bunch of white nationalists push Christianity down your throat.
Christianity was in Africa before Europe.
So tradition has St. Mark establishing Christianity within the Roman city of Alexandria on the northern shores of Egypt around 44 CE. And if that tradition is not accurate, Christianity was almost certainly within Alexandria by 50 CE. Around that same time period, Christianity is spreading through Anatolia, Asia Minor, what we now know as Turkey, and would reach Greece and then Rome by around 50 CE as well. So Christianity seems to be spreading into Europe and the continent of Africa around the same time period, although it is certainly plausible that it was in Africa before it reached what we now know as Europe.
Whoa, did you hear that? Christianity was in Africa before Europe. Yeah, like Ethiopia.
So Christianity was already well established within what we now understand to be Europe by the time it made its way down to Ethiopia, which probably took place in the 2nd century CE if the tradition of Christians fleeing Roman persecution and making their way down to Ethiopia is accurate. And it would be in the early 4th century CE that missionary work would begin to flourish and that Christianity would become a state religion in the then kingdom of Aksum.
The Ethiopian Bible is older than the King James Bible. Thank you.
There's not really an Ethiopian Bible, but there are absolutely Ethiopian manuscripts of the Bible that long predate the King James Version. And there are other English translations of the Bible and other non-English translations of the Bible that also long predate the King James Version.
That's exactly right. The argument that Christianity brought, colonialism brought Christianity to Africa is completely wrong. Why is it completely wrong? Because Christianity was already in Africa before Europe.
So it's absolutely true that colonialism is not responsible for the original introduction of Christianity into the continent of Africa, but it was primarily limited to Egypt and Ethiopia, and then it spread across northern Africa and would become a center of Christian presence until the Islamic conquests of northern Africa, which would cause that presence to shrink to small populations within Egypt and primarily in Ethiopia. And that's where it would remain for several centuries until, starting in the 15th century, you had European colonialism settling Western Africa down the coast into Central and Southern Africa. And so the majority Christian presence in those parts of Africa is absolutely the work of European colonialism.
Christianity was in Africa before Europe. Everybody hear that? And one thing you need to know is that Christianity is not a European religion. Whoa, whoa, whoa. One more time. Real loud. Christianity is not a European religion.
So this is a very broad statement, and as such, it can be both accurate and inaccurate. It is accurate in the sense that Christianity did not originate in Europe and is not unilaterally a European religion today, and to dismiss it as such is to ignore Christians in Egypt and in Ethiopia and in Syria and Iraq and in Palestine and in many other parts of the world where Christianity took root entirely independently of the function of Christianity within Europe. However, to just say it's not a European religion and leave it at that is also to ignore the fact that for many centuries now, Christianity has functioned as one of the central instruments of European imperialism and colonialism and white supremacy. And to dismiss Christianity as entirely non-European is to function as rhetorical prophylaxis for the effects of its use as an instrument of those things in the hands of Europeans. And those effects are still very much active down to this day. So I think we have to acknowledge both sides of this and also allow both sides to stand without using the other side to try to deny or erase or obscure the role of the other.
Man, you're awesome. Christianity is not a white European faith religion.
So while it is absolutely true that Christianity did not originate as and is not unilaterally today a white faith/religion, it only obscures things to deny or ignore the fact that it has been a central tool in the structuring of power and values in favor of European imperialism and colonialism and white supremacy, and is in fact the pretext for the development of the concept of race as a question of skin color. And so in that sense, it was a tool deployed by Europeans to create the entire concept of whiteness.
Go on, brother. I like you. Jesus wasn't white. Jesus was not white.
This is 100% correct. The concept of whiteness itself would not exist anywhere within several centuries of the life of Jesus, but also the data don't support the conclusion that Jesus would pass as white today.